6:45. Welcome back, everyone. It is the last day of the Great Minnesota Get-Together, voted the best state fair, by the way, on USA Today for 2025. The Iowa State Fair came in number 2. So which one is truly better? We all know the answer here in Minnesota, but Kaylin Thompson from our sister station in Des Moines helps us see both sides.
I'm teaming up with Jason from the Twin Cities, and we're going to settle which state fair is best. So Jason, what makes your Minnesota Get-Together so great?
When it comes to the Great Minnesota Get-Together, it doesn't get better than Sweet Martha's Cookies. They started selling these here at the fair in 1979. They bake about 3 million cookies per day at the fair. That averages to about 200,000 per hour. And the lines here are always so long, and the cookies are so popular. They also sell frozen cookie dough in grocery stores.
Cookies, please!
And where else can you get cookies by the bucket? Beat that, Iowa State Fair.
Martha does sound sweet, but Barksdale's is a name and cookie Iowans know and love. The Barksdale family has their own recipe and started selling their chocolate chip cookies at the fair back in 1993. In 2019, the business was gifted to the Iowa State Fair, which now owns and manages it. The cookies are just one of the must-have sweet treats that keep fairgoers coming back every year.
Whether you're running for office here in Minnesota or you're running for the highest office in the land, what better place to be among the people and try to get their vote than the Great Minnesota Get-Together? I mean, look at this. Of course, it was here at the Minnesota State Fair in 1901 when Vice President Theodore Roosevelt delivered his famous Speak Softly and Carry a Big Stick speech at the State Fair grandstand. Of course, that would go on to define his presidency and shape America's foreign policy for decades. And don't forget the numerous presidential and vice presidential candidates that have come through the fair using it as a platform to connect with voters. We're talking about Rutherford B. Hayes, William Howard Taft, Warren G. Harding, Calvin Coolidge, Dwight D. Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, John Kerry, John McCain, Dick Cheney, Bernie Sanders, and more recently, our current governor, Tim Walz. So as you can see, Kaylin, politicians definitely love the Minnesota State Fair. I'm curious, do you ever get politicians there in Iowa?
Whether it's grilling at the Iowa pork tent or stumping on the soapbox, presidential hopefuls and politicians from all parties do not miss their chance to connect with fairgoers. I mean, who can forget back in 2015 when then candidate Donald Trump landed here in Iowa in a helicopter? Next year's Iowa State Fair will have a huge focus on America's 250th birthday. President Trump wishes to host a big celebration at the Iowa State Fairgrounds, calling it the Great American State Fair. While celebrating a huge milestone in U.S. history, we'll also be crowning new royalty. We have the Iowa State Fair Queen. Minnesota has Princess Kay of the Milky Way.
That's right, Kaylin. She is Minnesota royalty, and get this, she's carved entirely out of butter. This year's winner, Mallory Thornton, was crowned as the 72nd Princess Kay of the Milky Way, a 20-year-old student from South Dakota State University. She's been wanting this since she was 3 years old, and the eventual goal here is to take over her family's dairy business. Look at the precision, look at the craftsmanship. I mean, does the Iowa State Fair have anything like that?
You better believe it. Many know the iconic butter cow, sculpted every year since 1911. Sculptor Sarah Pratt uses 600 pounds of butter that's often recycled from year to year. The butter cow is so famous, it just made its debut at the Smithsonian American Art Museum in Washington, D.C. There is not enough time to talk about all of the attractions and fun things to do across the 445 acres of the Iowa State Fairgrounds in Des Moines. But I will leave you with this, Jason. Nothing compares to the Iowa State Fair.
I don't know, Kaylin. I would say that the Minnesota State Fair is the GOAT of all state fairs. But you don't have to listen to me. Hear it from the people.
You never get bored. There's always something you can go to.
We like the Fine Arts Building and playing bagpipes here.
There's lots of rides.
We got an original Pronto Pup with
Headset.
We don't really know because we haven't been to any of the other state fairs. From our point of view, yes.
Big thank you to Kaylin from our sister station in Des Moines for her help on that. We all knew the answer before that story aired. It's the Minnesota
Now we're
State
kind
Fair.
of not seeing a difference.
You're the
though.
only one who can have an opinion. You've been to both.
Yeah.
And they,
What does that mean?
Minnesota's better. I just can't explain it. I can't explain it. I've
Okay.
been to both. Yes, they look the same, but Minnesota's just better. It's just better.